why would you go back to Mitchell Trubisky all of a sudden? Now you stunning the man's growth, so you definitely do got to go with him next year.
Will the Steelers continue with Kenny Pickett as their starting quarterback, or is he likely moved to backup next year?
This is a conflicting question for me because I've never been a big fan. If you know me, I've never been a big fan of Kenny Pickett. Right. So even in college, I was just like, Kenny Pickett's all right. Well, you got to consider that the guy that's pretty much won Caleb Williams a Heisman this year is also Jordan Addison, which if you see the short by Coach going crazy on one of his very first touchdown passes, we got it on the channel. But Jordan Addison has played out of his mind this year, and he's been playing injured too. And you have to consider that and how you evaluate Kenny Pickett. If he ends up being terrible, if he ends up not developing, we're always going to be looking at Kenny Pickett as one of those guys that is going to be known for that fake slide, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be the highlight of his career. I mean, you got George Pickens there. You got, Deontay Johnson. You got Najee Harris. You got Pat Freiermuth. Like, he's got enough weapons on that team to be successful. And the dude is... he showed in college that he could be athletic, so like that offensive line trouble, they'll get that fixed. So let's see a little bit out of it. We saw it a little bit last game. I was like, okay, Kenny, you made a couple good passes. I got to give you a pat on the back. But can you keep that up? That's the one thing that I've been saying about Trevor Lawrence. Like, Trevor Lawrence went against one of the worst defensive secondaries in the league, threw 3 touchdowns, and he looked incredible. But I'm like, hold your horses still on Trevor Lawrence, man. I'm a Jaguars fan. Hold your horses on the guy. Like, I want to see that against a good defense. Can he do that against a good defense? Kenny Pickett is going to be going against Stephon Gilmore tonight, which is going to be giving those wide receivers fits. Let's see how it turns out. Their defensive line, as long as DeForest Buckner is there, they got Yannick Ngakoue there as well. My God, I think Yannick Ngakoue is by the way, is one of the most underrated edge rushers in the league still. But that dude's a demon.
I remember learning his name in like 5 minutes when the trade rumors first started, back when he was in Jacksonville. I was like,
yeah,
now it just rolls off the tongue. Like, I remember struggling. I'm like, oh yeah, Yannick Ngakoue, whatever.
Yeah, so like I'll tell you, 2 seasons ago when Madden came out, I was playing that one heavy, and Heather used to watch me play it. And every time a sack would come up on the game, she'd be like, "Oh, let me guess, it's Yannick Ngakoue."
Yannick,
he was a beast on Madden, but yeah, man. Will he be the future? I guess you hope so because he's the hometown guy, right? But you got to consider there's a lot of better quarterbacks than him coming out in this draft. Like, he might be the backup the rest of his career, but I don't know. You trusted him to get you this far. You might as well just stick with him right now and then see what happens. Because the way that they did the way they massacred my boy.
Look at how they.
Why did I do my guy? Why did I do Trubisky like that, man? Give him more of a chance. Let him unload. That's play calling to me. That's play calling, not dialing up enough explosive plays. Because you could see the almost 500-yard game, 5-touchdown game that Mitch Trubisky had. We ain't seen that out of Kenny Pickett yet. So you already know what Mitch can do when you dial the right play call. So, yeah. But future predictions, I think he might be a backup for the rest of his career. You're looking at Mike Glennon 2.0.
Okay, Sora, what do you think here? Mike Tomlin's not used to having a losing record. If he does not have a winning record this year, is he going to continue with Kenny Pickett as a starter, or is he going to see some bench time?
I'm gonna get hate probably for saying this, but I also don't care. Almost every quarterback besides Will Levis in this draft class, I would take over Kenny Pickett.
No, you got to throw Michael Penix Jr. in that conversation.
And Michael Penix Jr. And
AR. What was he, coach?
Michael Penix Jr.
Yeah.
Ass.
Yeah. So, okay, maybe a couple of quarterbacks, but majority of the quarterbacks room, and this goes for any team that drafted a quarterback this year. Y'all should have waited. Y'all really should have waited because you got a lot of good guys coming out. Not even including the main like big names you're gonna see come off the board, like Stroud, Young, Hooker, Hendon Hooker.
Wow, pause.
I had to clarify there. Another big name is Adrian Martinez.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of big name quarterbacks come out. Like another one, Max Dugan.
Yep.
So I mean, there are a
Reflect
lot
the
of.
Sun was in our film study. He knows.
Shout out to that guy.
out
But
to
yeah,
you.
there's a lot of good quarterbacks coming out of this class. You can find a lot of future potential starters in this class. And again, it's not like you're having to waste a first round draft pick. Nobody's going to waste a first rounder on Adrian Martinez.
Right.
So
yeah, even though he has looked good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are just a lot of good quarterbacks out here, and not just Kenny Pickett, but every quarterback that just got drafted needs to watch out. Malik Willis, coach, what is he?
Ass.
Desmond Ritter, same thing. Like every team that drafted a quarterback, and granted, you're never gonna have a draft where no quarterback is selected, but nobody should have wasted a high pick.
All right, Coach. Is Kenny Pickett going to come back next year as a starter if Mike Tomlin doesn't have a winning season, or is he relegated to the bench next year?
I would say yes, he will return as a starter, and here's why. The same point Sora kind of made it. You already burnt the bridge when you put him in too early anyway with Mitchell Trubisky, and he was not playing. Mitchell Trubisky was not the problem of that team. Offensive line was basically a problem, and the receivers was dropping passes, and you could not find Chase Claypool anywhere on the football field. He was there, but he just did not show up in any type of ball game this year. So it was not Mitchell Trubisky's fault whatsoever. But you already burnt the bridge when you put Mitchell Trubisky in it. So therefore, you don't go back. Why would you go back to Mitchell Trubisky all of a sudden? Now you're stunning the man's growth, so you definitely do got to go with him next year. Where you knew you had a better quarterback class coming in next year, coming in this coming year, where you could have held off on Mitchell Trubisky and Mason Rudolph. You could have went a season with them stinking it up because you knew you had a great quarterback class coming in this year. So yes, you got to go with him. You got to get a man some time. Like ECG said, he got enough weapons. George Pickens was just a beast, man. And I remember saying that on ECG Night After Dark. George Pickens is just a beast, man, as far as blocking, route running, catching everything. Najee Harris, you got to get a better offensive line for Najee Harris because Najee Harris, they got to block better. Hope Deontay Johnson having a down season for what he had last year. But he got the weapons. He got enough weapons. Just got to improve on the offensive line and hoping that he does get better. So you definitely got to go with him. So I definitely do think he will be the quarterback for next year. Now, if he's a future quarterback, I have no idea. But you definitely got to go with him because you put him in too early and you don't want to stunt his growth and you want to see what you got in Kenny Pickett. So you definitely got to go with him.